That's right, Moto fans. Welcome into the AlwaysMoto YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, David Hogan, the Australian physiotherapist that knows the injuries and fitness needs of our sport of motocross and supercross. Now, this episode has got nothing to do with that side of things. We are on location for a very special interview here with Maxima Oils USA CEO Denny Massie. We're at We Are Lusty's head office in Newcastle. That's the Australian distributor for the oils here for Maxima Oils. They do a great job distributing and educating people in the community of Australian motocross on the uses of Maxima Oils. But we wanted to get a bit more information from Denny Massie firsthand about Maxima Oils, and he was very much accommodating for us. We got to sit down with him for a good half an hour for this record, but plenty of time either side chatting to him about things Maxima, USA, racing, just general life stuff as well. It was pretty cool to catch up with a man that's been doing so much in the industry for such a long time and with one particular company, and that is Maxima Oils USA. Now, obviously, all of this is to do with the fact that it's 927 Day coming up here on Friday. We're recording this early, so hopefully you'll be seeing it on 927 Day, which is the 27th of September. If you're not, you're seeing it afterwards. Well done, you're seeing it later on. But it's all to do with the fact that it's the unofficial birthday of Maxima Oils, 927 being their first product for pre-mixed two-stroke oils. They have a wide range that will cover all bikes and racing needs from, your kids all the way through to your 450 ranges, many different applications. SC1 obviously is their main product that everyone knows about, but they have all sorts of things: suspension clean, contact clean, four-stroke oils, gearbox oils, pre-mix oils, suspension fluids. They have pretty much anything that you need to service with a fluid, clean with a product, an aerosol, whatever. They have it in the Maxima Oils range, and you can get that from We Are Lusty here in Australia. But check out Maxima Oils Australia's Instagrams, Facebooks, all those sorts of things. Check out their product ranges and what you can get for them here. And if your dealer doesn't have them, your local shop doesn't have them, tell them to get in touch with We Are Lusty. I'm sure they'll be able to set up an account and get that product in for you if you want to use Maxima Oils. All right, let's check out this interview here with Denny Massie, the CEO and majority owner of Maxima Oils USA, on his trip while he was out here in Australia. He's out doing some education pieces for the local reps at We Are Lusty, and also just checking out the local scene ahead of 927 Day for Maxima Oils here, which we are obviously in Australia with We Are Lusty. They are celebrating that via a ride at the ranch in Newcastle, just north of Newcastle in Australia, and it will be a fun day. Ideally, the weather holds out. Bit of a chance of storms coming up here, so there might be some change of plans. But the We Are Lusty guys put together a two-stroke only ride every year to celebrate this, and also give them a chance to get out and be a part with the customers, but also just enjoy the sport that they are always been a part of in terms of moto. Let's hear from Denny and about how his company has grown and the products that they put out. Here's the interview that we did with Denny Massie at We Are Lusty. Hope you enjoy it. All right, welcome to the AlwaysMoto podcast. We are on location today. We are out and about in Newcastle, Australia. We're at the We Are Lusty head offices here, and it's a bit of an important day for us, or it's leading into an important day. There's 927 Day coming up here in, it's 2 days. We're recording this beforehand. It's a big day for this man next to us and his company. It is Maxima Oils, and it's Denny Massie. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the intro. And as you alluded to, we're looking forward to 927 Day coming up on Friday.
Yeah, definitely. It's been sort of something that's sort of grown legs from when I first started noticing this on social media platforms with obviously all the guys that you support in different ways, riders, other media places putting out things saying, hey, it's 927 Day, mix that two-stroke oil up. Now we've got here in Australia for We Are Lusty, they're running ride days on the day, bringing out your two-stroke. It's sort of grown legs and gone off in its own directions, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's exciting for us. I mean, 927 is the foundational product for Maxima. So it was the first one that we brought out to market. Kind of a cool story behind that is that, it's truly a purpose-made product. So back in the 70s, late 70s, the original founder, Dick Lachine, had come together, his son Ronnie, professional racer.
The dogger that everyone knows him as.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't need to speak too much about him, but great history, great legacy. Basically, you know, at his level of racing, there really wasn't the quality of a product out there for guys, you know, that are twisting the throttle as hard as he and other guys at the time were. So his dad was involved in drag racing, and, you know, after drag racing, got involved in Honda dealerships and such, so all part of motorcycling. And, you know, of course, that's how Ronnie got his start. And, you know, when he made factory Hondas and Cowie and everyone that he rode for, there just wasn't the product there. So they went out and developed a product that kind of kept those bikes running. And, you know, that's how the company started, based on performance and based out of a need. And, you know, I think it's cool that we try to stay pretty true to that. Similar to Lusty here, and we're a fairly young company, very active, very much a part of what we do. And, you know, we just like to try to contribute to making dirt bikes go faster, last longer.
Isn't that what we all want to have happen, but a dirt bike to go faster? Like,
Absolutely.
that's the whole reason we got in this, wasn't it? The speed addiction. So, but yeah, you guys are obviously based in outside of San Diego, in Santee, in Southern California there. Now, you've come over, you're only here for a couple of days. I want to know if you imported or smuggled in for me a double-double from In-N-Out, because that's my go-to. As soon as I land in LAX, I've got to get to an In-N-Out. It's the first thing I've got to do.
Yeah, you're keen on that. So the bad news, I have good and bad news. So the good news is we did bring a few over, because we know there's a few guys that want that. The bad news is
They've gone already?
it out of the kitchen here.
Yeah. I thought maybe the customs guys might have got it, because that's usually how it works here with our customs rules. So it's pretty tight over here.
Oh, good on you. Yeah. No, that's an institution in itself. So.
It is, yeah. No, it's a very important thing to go to anyone over there in that area. But you guys have sort of been in that same area the whole time. You started in it was 1979, you said, wasn't it?
That's
this
correct.
Kicked off.
Yeah.
And yourself, you joined in 89 to this business. Have you worked anywhere else?
I have done some other stuff, you know, in the U.S. to get a work permit, to get legally working, you have to be 16. So I guess technically it's my first official job. Had done some stuff as a young lad trying to make some money to buy the new dirt bike or what have you. So had done other stuff unofficial, but no, I was 16.
Wow.
16 years old.
And you've been there ever since. Nothing sort of since that point where you started. You haven't really gone any other companies and come back as such. You've been there the whole time. That's pretty unheard of, to start that way, stay there for that long, and then end up being CEO of the company as well, and majority owner of it nowadays. That's a pretty impressive story. You've been a part of, from what I understand and doing a bit of research, almost every department of Maxima as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a much smaller company when I started. I was technically the first non-family member to be hired. So
feel privileged now. You probably got imported into the family at some point, but that start long ago with you.
So it's been a good run, and as you said, I mean, as a 16-year-old kid, you're sweeping the shop floor, you know, just trying to make your way, and you know, I've worked through packaging and all that. So kind of went through uni, business background, organic chemistry background. So really kind of set myself up for, you know, transition the business in whatever capacity that would be. And of course, as a young guy, you don't have any foresight into what might lie ahead 30 years or 35 years.
You can't plan that far out, can you?
Yeah, no. So it's been a good run. I mean, I very active in the company. Officially transitioned the business over in 2004.
Okay.
So I've been at it for 20 years, kind of on my own. And as you said, good foundation in the company and in all different departments. So I've been able to transition not just from dirt bikes, but, you know, going into other power sports side with road and things like that. But then also in the last 10, 12 years, have really put a big focus as well on four-wheel automotive racing. Not passenger car, but just true racing stuff, from, you know, trophy trucks to open wheel. And then we're pretty integral in bike. So, we're a global supplier. Maxima's a global supplier to RockShox and SRAM. And we work with a lot of other key brands like Trek and things on doing private label lubes and all that. So we're pretty into it.
The range is pretty massive for Maxima. Like, you guys cover a lot of things. And like you just said, cars, push bikes, motorcycles, but always at racing is the heart of it, isn't it?
True. Yeah. And as I mentioned, I mean, Dick's Ronnie's father. And when he founded the company, it was based on a need for that product. And we really try to do the same thing today. So we don't try to chase necessarily the fad of the day, but we work very closely with, you know, key manufacturers, key engine builders, race teams in this case of motocross and athletes, and just develop a product again to try to improve that sport.
Yeah, and you seem to do that quite well. there's lots of stories about Maxima being used by different brands that aren't necessarily maybe advertising it at different points. So that's probably a little feather in your cap to say you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's true. I was joking with some of the guys here at Lusty earlier that Dick Lachine was much more of a cowboy than I am. But back in the day, I remember him running an ad in some of the national magazines at the time, but it was basically all of the factory teams that were buying and using the product. You know, when we were a young company, they're still trying to make their way, right? So it's like, hey, you know, this is who we are, and have to make the introduction of who Maxima is in a lot of cases. But at one point in time, he had run an ad in a major magazine. It was basically all the invoices of all the companies.
To going
stuff
out.
Yeah, who is Maxima? Here we are. And I thought, wow. I mean, I wouldn't have that audacity to do that
ballsy
today.
at that point.
Ballsy. So, so a lot of that still happens today.
Yep.
And, you know, when those stories come out, and others tell those stories, obviously, like you said, it's a feather in the cap, and we're quite proud of that. And we try really hard to put ourselves in that position.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the part that also with yourself and your own history in the company, the bit that sort of sticks out for me and all that is the chemistry part in it. It's not something that I think someone who ends up running the business is the one down, you know, mixing up the formula, reading out writing the formula out on the page, and sort of, you know, knowing that level of breakdown of the product. Like, was that something you always wanted to do and understand originally? Like, I gather you didn't probably set out to be even in oils maybe to begin with in a life of business and working. So how do you end up, you know, doing the chemistry side as well?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, I certainly at 16 never would think I would be in charge of an oil company or doing chemistry for sure. I don't think many kids, there's some out there I'm sure that do think.
Maybe there is, but not riding motorcycles at the same time or something. Yeah.
I was just thankful to have a job in an industry that I love, and it is what it is. So I figured once, you know, I went through university and studied really in business and accounting and things, that would be my way to go. So things happen for the good, right? Sometimes you roll the dice and win, and in my case, I was given an opportunity and kind of set myself up to take advantage of that opportunity and move forward with it. And, you know, I don't know how well it's known, but like Ronnie Lachine does work there as well. Right. So that was his father's company. And we have a great relationship. He's an awesome guy, contributes to the company, but not necessarily on the business acumen side of it. So it was a nice fit that we could come in and continue the legacy that his dad and he was part of as well. And, you know, here we are 35 years, 40 years later, and still doing cool stuff.
So do you walk down at times into that sort of formulation area and go, hey boys, I need another carbon atom in this section, or, you know, another alcohol atom over in this section? Do you do anything like that, or just to give them the shits, or
something like that? No, I love it. To be quite honest, I mean, I am very active in the chemistry part of it and bringing out new product. I think there's some benefit I can bring in that. You know, I understand the end use quite well from still riding, both, you know, motocross and as well as mountain bikes. So it's nice to see the end game and kind of how we roadmap to get there. But obviously I have a lot of good people around me internally and externally that we work with labs and things. So to credential that through the race teams and stuff, a lot of it's relationship based. You know, certainly some of it's a knowledge of chemistry, and certainly, you know, delivering a product to and understand the end use and end customer.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of those customers, obviously you guys have an extensive range. And in the oil fields, for a lot of, you know, the bikes these days, the user manual comes out and it says, we need X, Y, Z, you know, 10 weight 40, 10 weight 50. It needs to be a particular brand name because maybe it's the one from the manufacturer that's their particular brand. Maybe it's a particular one that they're associated with. Those are challenges that, you know, the customers have to understand and potentially follow or move away from. How do you guys go about getting Maxima, because it's not necessarily associated being the one in those user manuals?
Correct. Yeah. You know, we just went through training today with the Lusty guys, and, you know, our number one competitor has always probably will be the OEM.
Yep.
Right. So we've got very good relationships with most all of the OEMs from the racing side. There is the business side of it that certainly they have their products or endorsements that they do, and we're very respectful of that as a company. We're all the industry's big enough to be just a piece of it, right? So if whatever we can do to contribute with our brand Like in the U.S., I mean, outside of the OEMs, Maxima is the #1 distributed aftermarket brand in power sports.
Is that across like everything? Like you're talking like, gear, boots, helmets?
Yeah, so just within
pistons,
the oil segment.
Just in the oil segment.
Just within the oil segment. So the major distribution in U.S., Parts Unlimited, Western Powers, things like that, we're the #1 brand. We've got quite a decent gap down to #2 as well.
Yep, nice.
We continue to innovate and grow at a faster rate. So we're positioned well. It's more mature there. We've been in the Australian market, which is a very important market for us.
Yep.
Very unique in the world in that it is very similar to the U.S. I mean, even outside of dirt bikes, right?
We do follow you in a lot of everything, basically.
Yeah.
Like you sort of do something, we have to follow and be right there with you to try and keep up.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you got off-road trucks and fink races and drag racing, and I mean that doesn't happen in most parts of the world. So
we do it on a smaller scale,
Sure.
where you guys have a couple thousand at these things. We might have a couple hundred or maybe even less. So, but yes, we do follow. So,
but hey, feather in your guys' cap.
Yep.
I mean, you guys love racing and you do it. So
yeah, I definitely can say that. Like we Australians are generally petrol heads that go, they're burning it somewhere. So we are going to use all those products that you guys are developing, not just these moto ones as well. But there's a lot of crossover, obviously too. For us, there's not as many tracks and stuff availability as you guys have in the States. So we might have a moto track one week, but the next week we've got the car out on the circuit because that was available that week, and the boat or whatever else. Yeah, so there's plenty of places that we can use Maxima oils, which is awesome. But then like we said, the customer walking up and understanding what they're going to grab off the shelf, because you guys do have a couple of different things within a range. Even like if you talk about your two strokes, like the 927 stuff, you've got your Formula K, was just looking over the back, Super M's, but then you've got the injector versions on it, so you got to make sure you're picking up if you've got an injected bike versus the carbureted.
Yeah, so you were just talking about OEMs and how we handle that. So we certainly have to compete with OE oils. We have some relationships where we produce OE oils for certain people as well. So some are very open to that co-development or endorsing Maxima specifically, like in the case of RockShox and SRAM.
Yep.
And then we've got other large OEMs that are in the motorcycle space that are like, hey, this product is for us, and we're going to handle all the sales administration of it, and you more or less are just a customer relationship, and we respect that as well. So it all works.
Well, it's business, isn't it? Like you guys are obviously making money from that. You're not promoting Maxima direct, but you're making money in a different manner as well, which then. That's the funny part, is that the consumer doesn't realize that they're probably already using a Maxima product in a lot of cases.
Yeah, very likely.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So then the next part is then obviously getting people to switch away from that, and why come to the Maxima shelf rather than going to the other shelves of the manufacturer or maybe the other brand that's associated, linked to it directly from their user manuals.
Yeah, so that's really the magic, right? So and that gets more difficult outside of the U.S. So we control a lot of that media and brand recognition in the States. But when we come here, then we're working closely with our importers and trusted partners here, like Lusty, to where we need to educate them and send that message. And it's not easy. So they need silent salesmen to talk to the kid that don't want to talk to the guy at the counter about what two-stroke oil to use.
Yep.
So we got to build all that in, and we do different things in our own marketing with you mentioned Formula K2 injector.
Yep.
Right. It's an orange label and says TPI on the front for a reason, right?
Yep.
We got a targeted customer that we're
match them up to the bike. Straight, easy, make it simple.
Try to take the fear out of making that switch. So that's really what we do every day. And hopefully that comes through with, just basically brand recognition, reputation. We've been in the Australian market a long time.
Yep.
We're not going anywhere. We look for, the youthful energy and the kind of hands-on approach that Lusty has, being riders themselves in both bike and motorcycle, and we hope that resonates to the end consumer, because you are, I'm assuming, very like me, in that we associate with these brands that kind of are our lifestyle.
Yeah, they've been a part of the things you've seen growing up for years in magazines, your favorite riders using them, wearing them. That's just part of what you know. Like I've known Maxima of the brand for years, just from reading magazines, and there was an ad in it or it was a sticker on a bike. So you've got that legacy part already down.
Yeah. And if you ask any of the leadership on our team, I mean, one of my early goals at Maxima was like, we need to make oil cool. As simple as that sounds, but I mean, it's not like table talk. I mean, most people don't want to talk about oil necessarily, but it's pretty vital part of it. We think it's very cool. So it's like, how do you relay that message to a common rider to where they, like, I'm proud if someone's running a Maxima shirt. I'm like, at the end of the day, you're like, that's an oil shirt. It's not something you necessarily, it's not Fox or something, or Troy Lee or something. Yeah,
true.
But you're like, they're wearing that. Why? Because they have an identity to that for whatever reason it is. And in our case, it's usually trust and other things. So, I mean, in its own right, I think that's really
well. Is that where this whole SC1 smells so good, being cool, has come from? Like, I feel like that message through your marketing over a number of years now, everyone tells you that SC1 smells good.
Yeah.
Is that something that is where that maybe started?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the product, we're not like a gimmicky company, so the product's got to work. But it flat out works. I mean, if you haven't tried SC1, try it. I mean, we should have a promotion where if you don't like it, we'll give you the can for free, right? Like, it works. And part of that,
confident.
Yeah, I'm that confident.
Yeah.
And part of that is like the user experience. The senses are a big deal. So it smells good. That's probably the number one thing we get. Oh, I can't believe the smell.
Yeah.
And we've kind of parlayed that, which is fun in itself. But I mean, we sell air fresheners.
Yeah, when I was here with meeting with Johnny a couple of weeks back, we're talking about SC1 and the smell, and he's got onto the air fresheners, and I'm like, you guys are selling them? I thought they were just like a promotional giveaway. And he's like, no, we sell them because people wanted them so badly that we thought we could make a little bit of money out of this because we had to make so many of them.
It was just a fun kind of play for us. Like, I think it was like Loretta Lynn's, we were like, hey, let's make gear bag fresheners, SC1. Let's just do it. And what came out of that is distribution asking for it because they got phone calls. And here we are. And we just recently did up at Sea Otter in California, a big bike festival.
Yeah.
We launched with a company that's pretty core in like gravel scene, and we launched an SC1 beer. Beer. So obviously we don't have a liquor license, so we're not selling beer, but
got a link with somebody.
Did.
Yeah.
And we brought a pallet of this stuff and had happy hour, and the brewery's calling us going, hey, I think we have something here. Is this something we can brew in stock? And we're chuckling, and my business guys are getting on it, getting too serious. And I said, hey, let's just have fun with it and let it roll. And if they want to do it, if it becomes a big deal later, maybe we need to have a different talk. But like right now, let's just roll with it. And they're producing it and selling it. I mean, it's cool.
But that sort of thing, like you said, about making a brand that's not necessarily cool.
Yep.
This is now cool. It's talked about. People are wanting something that's not even really something you started out to make.
Right.
And here we are. You're selling these things, so you're doing something right, obviously.
Yeah.
And making
obviously,
a brand.
You got to back that up with product integrity, which we got. So
yeah, definitely. Now, obviously, lots of people will say that that's their favorite Maxima product.
Yeah.
But remove that for a second. Not the favorite product. What's the product that maybe you have used or used the most out of your, you go down, I'm going home, oh crap, I better grab another one then. I need it. What's that for you?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I thought you were going a different way.
I've got to turn this around. I can't ask the same questions that everybody else is going to ask.
Outside SC1, like 927 would be our most popular because also it's cold-like. But for me personally, I've got a product that's called Matte Finish.
Oh, yeah.
Cleaner.
Yep.
And it'll be a product line extension for us in the very near future is what I will promise.
Okay.
But it is a awesome, just instant detailer type product.
Yep.
So it's something that we haven't done a good job with the messaging, but it flat works. Shared some good stories and product line extensions with the guys here this week, and they're pretty excited about that.
Okay.
Probably be badged under SC1.
Okay.
And that'll come out. But that's one of my favorite products because it's just not one that's been spoken about.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So it's look forward to that one soon here. What about now, and this is one of those things I've heard, you hear the stories of other products out there that they were designed for one purpose, but then people in the random world decide that, oh, I've tried over here. Oh, that works. Let's try it over here. Oh, that works. For Maxima, what's something that you've maybe heard or maybe yourself you've done that the product was designed for A, but you're in the house polishing up the coffee table or something? Like, what's the thing that you've heard, the weirdest thing that you've heard Maxima being used for that it wasn't intended to be used for?
Gotcha. I think, and this is kind of a cop-out, so I'll supplement this with the second answer.
Right.
SC1 is one that I hear the most about.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Because of all the cans that are out there and all the uses that people put it to. So I've heard the most interesting things on it, doing some pretty remarkable things that I've even done myself and said, wow, that is it. So kind of how much more mainstream would that product go? But what comes to mind isn't like my personal experience, but one that we've done as a company. It's kind of, I'll say, our fourth unofficial division, but we've gotten our suspension fluids put to several different uses. And this will kind of, I guess, resonate with you a little bit more.
Yeah.
So We do some products for a couple different companies that do like Freedom Innovations is one of them. So they do like wounded warrior amputee type stuff. From
We're talking like in joint replacements and stuff.
So,
wow.
So we found now where we've got specific and unique products that came originally from suspension fluid, like from dirt bike guys that have another day job, right? And now we're making some specific fluids for like prosthetic knees and ankles and like more complicated joints that, you know, have issues with outgassing and things and locking up. So it's
the chemistry on that level, so the body doesn't reject it, would be interesting in itself. But that's I wasn't expecting you to go there.
So that's kind of a bigger platform than probably what you're looking for. But
no, but like that's a different thing. Like it just shows the versatility of what you guys are doing, and that it's trusted more than just in the motorsport field. So interesting on that as well. Now let's get to a couple of specific examples of use of the products, and maybe you can direct me in a way that you can help me personally on one of these questions. We'll start with that one actually. So kids' bikes, they drive me nuts at the moment, right? All the maintenance aspects, all they're so finicky to get them to run right, jetting, plugs fouling, especially the Austrian little 50s. Those things are pocket rockets, but they're also so damn temperamental to run. You end up seeing parents in the pits tipping them up on the front, trying to get things to line back up. Clutch and drag on those things when they start cold is a problem for us here, especially here in Australia, especially in wintertime. We're just sort of coming out of it. Yep. What do you guys have for that specific use? What would you direct us towards for that?
That's a great question. I actually spent some time training today. So it hits on a couple different product families for us. So you're right. I mean, these things, Cobras and KTM 50s, and these are a lot of work, and dads are running around crazy because in some cases they don't know what they're doing either, right? So
well, you try your best, but sometimes the spanner just flies across the workshop.
We've got. I mean, a big one for us, especially on the little bikes, is clutches. So that's a big deal. You mentioned something about drag on the motor, so that's kind of like Maxima's forte, right?
Yeah.
Like we take some product line and we really kind of take it down to that level, if you would, like just continue to peel the onion and how far can we take it down.
Yeah.
So we do look at things like coolants, or another one on these mini bikes that, some real popular products out on the market, like, their operating temperature affect the viscosity of even coolant. So it's splitting hairs. So I'm not meaning to come off like this is going to make your kid win.
I'm curious where you're going with it. Yeah.
But when you add all up, like a gearbox oil, putting drag on the clutch, you put a little drag because the coolant maybe is thicker because a particular type of coolant versus another one.
Yeah.
Put drag on it, and these are bikes that don't put out any power. So all of this adds up, right?
Yeah. Small bits, massive changes.
We certainly talked today a lot about some products that these guys Lusty aren't really pushing out, and I'm coming from them saying, hey, that's probably the right product for 70% of the people, and you guys don't even have it here. And they're like, well, why? And what we're talking about is that kind of weekend mechanic and dad that doesn't necessarily know maybe even what a pilot jet is or how to jet, and we've got products that are much more user friendly that can deliver something to that person at a pretty high level without having to go all the way to, say, a 927, which is much tougher.
Because it's a higher end of
it's a higher end
performance level,
isn't it?
isn't it?
More temperature to kind of turn it to a soft carbon. So, that dad might be frustrated that can't get it to stop dripping.
Well, their kid might not be running it hard enough to get to that heat either. So, like, it depends on your riding style in a lot of these circumstances too, doesn't it?
So that's kind of the level that we like to. I mean, when I have free time, which is not all that much, that I'm at the track talking to dads about stuff, but that gets me excited because these are all those little things that improve their life, their quality, the kids' experience on the bike, and again, we want to keep kids on bikes.
Yeah, well, I don't need dad yelling at them because they're frustrated from the fact that it wouldn't start because they didn't know to change a fluid, a coolant or something like that. So, no, definitely. It's interesting. But, there's products for all that. Now, we were talking about this one before we hit record a little bit, but the whole bit about some bikes in their manufacturers moving weight ranges on the oils, like standard sort of 10 weight 40, we touched on a little bit before. But like there's been a bit of an Austrian group shift to be 1050, 1060 at different times and different year models. And you guys obviously then have to battle that message of, well, is that necessary? Do we have to make a new range for that specific need? And then the consumer coming in and going, well, it says in my user manual 1060, but you guys have 1040. Is that okay? How do we combat that? And like, do you guys have to respond? Do you feel you need to respond to that? Or is it all just that they're trying to make it so that they're directing them to their OEM products?
Yeah, that's great. Great question. And obviously you're part of the scene, so you know this, right? So sometimes we have to react a bit to it. We try not to be too reactive, or we try to be on the front end of it. So in a lot of cases through racing, we see this coming before maybe it even gets introduced. So, we're aware of TPI before HM launched TPI, and now, they've gone away from that and a lot of stuff, and it's, throttle bodies again. So, so obviously we have to react and be relevant to consumers on newer equipment. It can sometimes be a bit of a game, right? Sometimes I think there's some marketing involved in having unique products and unique specifications to bring you back to that OE fluid. And we operate in 65 countries, so different countries have different laws, and there's different protections of doing that not. So you kind of have to be well-read and a student of the game. But for the most part, we do definitely pay attention to what the major OEMs are doing. And we have a product that we can deliver, hopefully without having to have a 5-minute conversation on what that product is or why you can use it. We try to make it simple for them to switch it, and viscosity is part of it. There's in some cases maybe a need for that. That might be unique to a particular manufacturer.
Of course.
Other times it might truly be marketing to get them to
just make you purchase their bottle. And there's obviously, I don't know, this might be a bit skeptical of me, but like it says 1060, but how do you know that that's actually what the bottle, they've just said that, but inside it's 10 weight 40, but the outside is 1060 to match their OEM book. And like, I don't know, it might be a little bit skeptical, but
I'm hopeful that anyone selling any real oil brand that's not made in the garage is respectful of those. They're certainly easy tests to do to know if it's truly a particular viscosity. But I mean, what you do touch on is that there are still low and high parts of that spectrum. So it could be that you have a 1050 that's so low in that it's almost a 1040 and no one would even know the difference. But
like you guys have standards that all your products are meeting and exceeding from all your other marketing that I know of. So that's obviously how you tell that Maxima Oils is legitimate product.
Absolutely. That's, we live and die by that. I mean, we don't exist. We're not trying to compete with major oils at super cheap auto to make a sale. We've got to be part of what we do here, and that's backing it up. So product integrity is held pretty high for us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, obviously Friday's 927 day. We're hoping the weather holds out here in Australia so we can get this ride day at the ranch, which is just up the road here from Newcastle. But you're flying home early. You're not going to be here. I was going to ask you if you're going to ride on the Friday. But
unfortunately, I am flying out early, and I would love to ride. I drove out there to the ranch to check it out the other day and just kind of sat there watching them groom the track and thought how much more fun that would be than a 15-hour flight back to the States. But no, we've got Trevor Reese that runs our power sports business in North America is one of my key guys. So he's getting married on that Saturday. So I figured
got an exemption then.
I better be there and be part of that.
You can get a leave pass this year, but maybe next year you can be back and you can
I
ride.
hope so.
We'll see how it works out. We might not be happening. It depends on what this weather is doing. Apparently there's a bit of a storm coming, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I would rather have a good ride day. So we're not looking to sell more than SC1 because it's a mutter. So like, let's have good weather and let's have everyone get out there.
That's an easy in for you guys. Like, go ride in the mud.
Yeah, we got a product for you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we hope it goes off well. I know they sold out.
Yes.
I know they've got people coming from Tassie and everywhere else to ride. So I think it's really cool.
It's a super important thing for the We Are Lusty guys. Obviously linked in with Maxima Oils. But look, thank you for a bit of time here on the AlwaysMoto podcast. We appreciate it. The quick trip to Australia. Hopefully the travel's not too hard and you're going home and you can be not red-eyed for the wedding photos.
That's right.
But yeah, appreciate it, Danny. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
All right, there you have it. That was our interview with Danny Massie, the CEO of Maxima Oils USA, while he was down in Australia for some product training with the We Are Lusty Australian distributor of Maxima Oils. So those guys are obviously now all upskilled. Danny's back on a plane heading to the USA, but he has left his mark with the guys here, and hopefully that knowledge will benefit all the Australian community who uses Maxima Oils. And if you're not using Maxima Oils, maybe you should check them out. They do have something for your bike. Now, thanks for watching the AlwaysMoto YouTube channel. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We do have supporters here on the AlwaysMoto podcast. They are Lee at Moto Australia, are right up top here, and technicmotorsport.com for all your suspension needs. So check those guys out. We also need your support direct of the podcast channel. You can get one of these t-shirts that I've been rocking here and with the interview with Danny there. I also gave Danny one of these shirts. They are $25 plus postage and handling, and you can get your own by emailing us at info@alwaysmoto.com. Put t-shirt order in the subject line and we'll be in touch regarding payment. Now, if you are able to as well, you want to support us, we do have a link in the show notes that will get you to our PayPal account to make a donation. Any amount is awesome and helps us keep things rolling here. Equipment for doing these sorts of interviews is not cheap, and hopefully you can support us here at the Always Moto podcast by buying a t-shirt or by sending a donation in. We much appreciate it. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more cool content. The Australian Supercross is coming up here in the next few weeks. We'll be covering those rounds, doing rider interviews as well. So check that out. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. Until next time.